Welcome to an all-new episode of GVN Review. AJ, stop making that face. Today we will be giving you our spoiler review for The Batman, meaning we will spoil this movie. Again, I'm saying this so it is very clear that we will spoil this movie in our spoiler review. I'm your host, Juwan. As you see, we have a packed group today, starting off with Trayvon. What's up, Trayvon?
Yeah, can't wait to get into this part. Now I can really talk about the things I really liked and about the characters, and without worried about, oh, did they know this character was even in the movie or not?
Right.
Now I can actually talk.
Yo, Trayvon, hold on. Before we go any further, hold on. I did that with my aunt, right? So she was just like, all right, you're the resident, comic book person. How was Spider-Man? And I was just like, oh my God, it was great. Spider-Man was awesome. There's so many storylines in there. Everything gets, kind of gets cleaned up. It has fun. Matt Murdock was his lawyer, and she just was like, hold on, what? I was like, you didn't see it yet. That is right.
Damn.
Woo! So what I meant was it would be cool.
You talking about
Matt Murdock was his lawyer, and she goes, "No, you ruined it. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Stop talking." So I feel you on that. So where you get
I'm
so
just
excited.
happy that she knows who he is. There's some people that don't. So
Yeah, well, I try very hard that anyone in my family that I talk to at least rudimentarily knows who some of these characters are heading into anything. The fact that my mom still to this day left Dark World going, that was one of the best romantic comedies ever, lets you know how much I failed my mother, right?
That's a fair.
She left that going, I love the romance. And I was just like, what did we watch? Did you go somewhere?
That was one of the better aspects of that movie, I guess.
I'm not saying it wasn't an element of that movie, but for that to be your big piece heading out of it, I failed you. But next up, Dom, what's going on, Dom?
Man, I'm good. I haven't felt this much pressure dropping a review in a very, very long time. It was a very weird feeling. I felt like at first I made some very bold statements, and we'll see what people think next week when they come back and talk shit.
Bro, I'm going to say two things. One, I told you when we were going there, I said, bro, Dom kind of, he raised expectations with his review. I loved it, but on the same hand, and I really hope no one takes this offensively, I only would have trusted Dom to handle the review. Because any other slander, I would have had to have let go of some people. So Dom was the perfect person that I'm like, okay, I know if Dom is saying there were issues, like there must have really been some kind of issues, or if you loved it, it must have really been that good. So I'm like, okay, I trust Dom wholeheartedly. So I'm like, I was very happy Dom was the one that handled it. But anyway, next up, AJ. What's going on, AJ?
Joker. Let's go. I'm ready.
Officer Stanley Merkel. That's what I was told, and I was completely lied to.
That's what I was told too. Okay.
And you know what? Let me give credit to Matt Reeves. I love that Matt Reeves did not confirm it, because in the credits it just says inmate. It just says inmate.
Yeah, it does.
It does not say who he is whatsoever. So I like that. But Dom, when you go, I do want to hear who you thought that was, because I think we'll be on the same page.
Yeah.
But before we get
I think we'll all be on the same page, because I thought it was somebody else at first too. So
Who else is supposed to be? I can't wait to talk about
I thought it was supposed to be
I thought it was
Two-Face.
one person.
Well, no.
I thought
okay,
it was
so
I didn't think that.
I'm not in the Two-Face lane. So okay.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're not gonna
okay.
get into this. Let me introduce everybody first, and then we'll go into it. I just introduced AJ, Trayvon, Dom, Joel, Jamie. Just trying to figure out who I forgot. I'm like, I forgot someone. I know I did. What's going on, Jamie?
I'm good. It's good to be remembered. I had a good time.
Better than being forgotten, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had a really good time with this movie. I'm very curious to hear what everybody else has to think. And yeah, I'm just excited to hear this discussion. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. So So we're just gonna I'm gonna talk about that really quickly, and then I'm gonna pass it on for someone to give their spoiler thoughts. But who I thought it was, AJ, I thought that was Hush. I thought it was Hush because you had set it up so perfectly. But then when he laughed, it so clearly was not Hush.
Yeah.
So, because when you see him, it looks like he's completely scarred, right?
See, when I thought it was half his face was just scarred. That's what I thought at first. That's why I thought it was Two-Face.
Well, let me
then
say
you
this.
said
I want to give Joel so much credit for this because I wasn't even thinking about this. But Joel made a great point. I'm glad. Well, again, we don't truly know, but we do. I'm glad it wasn't Harvey Dent because what's the one thing this movie left a vacancy of? A district attorney. Leaves the availability for Harvey Dent to pop up in the future and for him to then become Two-Face. So Two-Face isn't where I went. I just went like, all right, well, clearly if they know this about Martha and she was clearly insane, I'm like, and then, you know, the Elliots were mentioned. I'm like, and then Hush popped up. I'm like, oh, shit. That has to be as obvious as when Batman Begins had the card, right? So I'm like, okay, clearly that had to be him. And then he laughed, and I was like, oh, no,
it was more simple for me. He said the word clown, and then I heard the laugh. I was like, okay, right. Joker.
The laugh really split.
Sure. You can see his mouth too. That's why I was like, oh yeah, you can see the scar in his mouth.
And it's Barry. It looks like Barry. How you say Barry Kogan?
It is.
It
is. Yeah, that is him.
Yeah, that's him.
Which, by the way, congrats to him. He'll work on it more. That won't be the finished product, but I did enjoy that laugh for the most part. And that to me, more so than anything else, is usually the most important part of a Joker. You could look accurate as shit, but if your laugh is ass, it's like, well, I can't sit through a whole 2 hours.
Laugh made me uncomfortable, so it worked for me.
100%. 100%. That's what it's supposed to do, right? But I want to start off with you, Trayvon. What were your thoughts on? You good?
Yeah.
you said uh-oh, like you were in trouble.
But I have more time.
No, because what I always do is I usually towards the end, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna start off with you this time. I'm gonna start off with you. Okay. So I want to start off with you. What were your thoughts on the Batman? Your spoiler thoughts.
Okay, so I love the relationship between Selena Kyle and Batman, because she doesn't know. Okay, I'm gonna talk about something I saw in the trailers. I felt like I got tricked. I thought he was eventually going to show her. I was really surprised that he never did it. I was like, okay, so he really does. She doesn't know. She didn't figure it out. Nothing.
The only reason I was kind of happy they went that route, even though I wouldn't have been upset, because she does in the comics know that he's Bruce Wayne. It's just too early. It's too early for anyone to know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Year 2, and already someone knows who you are.
I mean, someone does know technically.
Alfred knows.
Well, I mean, outside of who wants to know. Like outside of the one person that of course he knows, but outside of that, I was like, it's just too early.
And I also thought the Riddler knew. Like the
I love that.
Were very misleading. The trailers were very misleading.
Yeah,
like, I was like, okay. I was like, that surprised me actually. I was like, oh, okay, so I was the whole time. I was like, oh, he knows who he is the whole time. I was like, oh, he doesn't know. I was like, wow, okay. Good
and
twist,
bro, look, Riddler bought himself some more time on Earth because Batman gave him that look like, fuck, I'm gonna have to kill you. Like he really gave him that look like, I'm gonna have to.
He looked at the camera and everything. He was like,
right.
I'm gonna get
he looked at the camera and was just like, I'm gonna have to kill you on camera. That's gonna be a lot. So when Riddler said the line and the Batman was just like, oh, you don't know. Whew, okay. Yeah. What were you saying? Like he kind of snapped back into it. Like, okay, all right, I can refocus. What were you saying again? But I'm sorry, go ahead, Trayvon.
Yeah, and I love the so when I watched Long Halloween, like, you know, not too long ago, like probably later than everybody else, but I watched it. And I think it was Falcon was talking about being shot, and you were watching from up here. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I've seen, you know, I remember seeing this in that movie. Stuff like that's fun. I like if I didn't watch it, I would have never like picked up on that. I was like, okay, like, so I think that's why, like, when I hear little things like that, I'm like, how many other things are in here that I didn't pick up on? That's why I'm like, that's why I say about the Die Hard thing. I'm not trying to like just diminish it. I'm just saying I wonder how many more things like that are in here that I'm not catching.
A lot. I can promise you that. A lot.
So that I was like, oh, I remember that. I do. Okay, so one thing. I love Selena's Catwoman, right? I love the fighting and everything. Like I said before, I wanted the mythology behind it. I wanted her to like get killed at some point and come back. I don't know. I just wanted that. Okay, that's just me. Okay, that's the Catwoman I know, and that's what I wanted. That like she's just very athletic. She's flexible. She can fight. That's all. Like it's not nothing behind that. At least from what we see, there's no mythology behind it.
She didn't turn into like an actual Catwoman.
I'm saying, but I mean, even Michelle Pfeiffer's, got killed and then came back.
But that was to be more so playful. That was to be more so playful with the idea of making her like an actual Catwoman.
That was a weird choice.
Right.
And I love that movie.
I like that type of stuff though. Like, so
no, I mean, look,
I was looking for it.
That's Catwoman, cat burglar. That's why she's
right.
I get it,
but that's why I love the detail of making sure she had the nails. You know what I'm saying? She had the nails, and then obviously the more we see her grow, she'll get the gloves with the actual piercing nails that could literally claw a face off. But yeah,
the mask was useless that she wore. By the way, the mask was useless. Like most of her face was exposed. I was like, you might as well take that damn thing off. There's no point. But yeah, so she did. Yeah, she did. She was great. I enjoyed her a lot.
Also, the reason why that works is usually in her line of work. Obviously, this movie went a different direction, but in her line of work, it's usually to never be seen. So this movie kind of exploited a little differently, but the whole purpose is no one knows that I was just here, let alone they saw me close enough. Like, right. Selena?
And I appreciated the whip. They gave it to me one time. I said, where's the whip? Give me the whip. One time they gave it to me. I said, okay, fine. Gave me the whip. Good. Yeah, I don't know, like the fighting, the saw of it all. Like it was just, I was like, so he just saw now? Like he could, like these contraptions they were in. I was like, oh God. And I remember the creep factor that I felt during those movies. I was like, here we go again. He was almost like, you want to play, like, especially that part where the guy was in the funeral. It was like, you want to play a game? You got to solve these. I was like, come on, man. I was like, oh God. I thought when that happened, right, and Batman got blew back, and obviously he couldn't move or anything. I still thought it was very convenient they did not take his mask off. Like, I was like, come on, like, why didn't you guys say Gordon was not there yet? I was like, you guys could have did it. I just think that was a little bit convenient. That part, I was like, y'all ain't that scared of him. He knocked out. Like, take the damn mask off to see who he is. I was like, fine, whatever.
You know what? I won't totally push back on that because I was expecting that they would try and it would send a shock like his mask always do. That's its failsafe, is that it'll shock the shit out of you so that you don't go to try to lift it again. So when they didn't do that, I was just more so like, okay, no problem. So we're not there.
I let it go. Suspend belief. I let it go.
Right.
But I was just like, okay, fine. They didn't take it off. But that was the only chance they had to take it off.
That's the only chance they're gonna get. They won't get that chance again.
Let me see. Like I said, I love the relationship between Gordon and him. They were very tight, and I really enjoyed that. Like they were, like just they trusted each other more than anybody else in like the police department or anybody else. It was very interesting. I would like to see how they got there. I guess you could say, like, I would like to know, like, we just jumped right into them being friends like that, but you believed it. But it was still, I would like to know how they got there, like what happened for you guys to be that close.
Well, wait, hold on, because that's what made their relationship beautiful to start the movie. They were not friends. There was not a complete trust there from either side.
He was walking them in already, though.
No. It was like a professional courtesy, but it was more so when Bruce started to find out the bigger picture of Gotham, to where he realized how good Gordon truly is. And then that's really by the end of the movie where that friendship really started to take place. But I think they just had more so of a professional relationship where it was just like, yo, you solve a lot of shit, so like you can come check it out. But it wasn't like, yo, this is my guy, like we're in this together. It was more so when they figured out, damn, Gotham is dirty. It was like, yo, we might be all we got. You know,
that was another thing while I was watching. I was like, this is like so corrupt. How do you fix it? I was like, can you find out who's doing it? But what, obviously, like, what can you do if it's this bad, this deep? Like, though, like the whole police department, I'm pretty sure, like, was corrupt and everything. I was like, how do you know? Like, you have these police officers that are still helping you, but you really don't know. Like, you literally, I would feel like you just have to fire everybody and just start over. Because I wouldn't trust anybody.
The problem with firing everybody was the chief of police was corrupt. The DA was corrupt.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so, but that's
welcome
that's what
to
always
the real
made,
world.
Well, yes, very true. But that's what always made.
That's terrifying to think about. God, that's terrifying.
I mean, it's happening now. There's so many corrupt police officers now. So it's
politicians, everything.
This movie is very relevant.
But that's what always made the Batman comics so intriguing, was the only thing that could stop it was the fear of Batman, was the fear of shit. He could find out I'm on the take at any point, and then, you know what I'm saying, completely end it. So that's what kind of, and again, Gotham never ever will truly change. But what makes people think twice is the idea that Batman exists. And that's what this movie instituted was, shit.
Yeah, they definitely showed
like,
that.
right, like, I need money, but like, what if Batman shows up right now? You know what I'm saying? So I appreciated that it'll never truly get out of corruption, but people will at least think twice before trying to be corrupt.
Because I love that. Yeah. I love that about it. I love how everybody was so nervous when they saw Dark Shadow. I was like, I would probably be scared. I would like, is he right there? Shit, I don't know. You know, I'm not gonna find out. Let me get out of here.
Yep.
And I mean, the last thing I guess I want to talk about. I mean, of course the story was, great. Falcon getting shot, everything, like all that. The story just kept you in it, because it was like, what the hell is gonna happen next? Like, what is he gonna do next? Like, who is dying next? I honestly thought, could Alfred die? I was really wondering. I was like, could he die? I was like, it could possible.
I cried as if he did.
And it also really, to me, I don't know everybody else felt about this, but it being year 2, like you could really see, like, especially the part where he was on that building. He was like, oh, I was like, oh, he's actually a little scared. I was like, okay, so this is his start. He has been doing this very long. He ain't jumped off a building yet, but he was ready though. Whatever that thing he put on, I was okay. Are you ready though? Got you. Some parts dragged on a little longer than they need to be. Like I said about the mask thing earlier, there's just a few things in it that I was like, it did not have to be as long as it was. But it's fine. I am going to see it again tomorrow. So if that's any indicator, if I like it, I wouldn't go again. So I am going tomorrow. So, but yeah, now I want to hear about things about it. Yeah.
Well, I will say to what you were saying about year 2, that was probably, if I had to pick something that bothered me, that was what bothered me, is Alfred saying he taught him how to fight. And his fighting was somewhat still sloppy. So I'm like, I'm very curious.
Rough.
Right. Yeah, but Batman's fighting is usually never that brute. It's I don't want to say stylish, but it's more it's craftier than that. So the first thing I thought, and I was telling Joel on the way leaving the theater, was I'm very curious if this Bruce Wayne ever left Gotham to train anywhere else, or if he literally was just shut out in his tower in Gotham that entire time. So I'm very curious what his actual full training is fighting wise. And if we see it expand itself within the next few movies. So if there was any that kind of bothered me a little bit. That was the only thing. But yes, look, and Dom, I'm going to pass it to you. If there was ever a way of if someone ever asked, how do you start a Batman movie that people that maybe aren't fully invested would buy in completely? I would tell you you showcase there being 3 different spots in Gotham where crime is happening. And you showcase the light in the sky and people just invoking fear of seeing it and not knowing where he could be. That is how you start a Batman movie, to where he didn't need to be in 3 places at once. Because as he said, that's a warning when that fucking light goes on. They know what that means. And you saw that in just year 2, people were like, fuck, I was going to rob a bank tonight. God damn, Batman. Like, I'm going to go home. But tomorrow I'm going to try again. But so I thought that was beautiful. That's how you start it. So you make it clear. This is what fear is. This is what he means to Gotham. But Dom, what were your thoughts? And I'm very curious to hear who you thought that was at the end. Were we on the same page or not?
Yeah, I think my favorite line has to do with that intro when he's like, they think I'm in the shadows. I am the shadow. I was like, yes. Because that is crazy. Like, in that short period of time, what did he do to these people, these criminals, the first year? Like, he had to be dropping people off the buildings and shit, like, to where doing spray paint. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do my nails or something. I gotta go. But the one negative, I'll start with the negative. The one negative I had, which is what Trayvon just mentioned, was when he got to the top of the building and the little squirrel suit. It's the only thing I feel like didn't match the rest of the film. It felt kind of weird to me, just like it popping up, and nothing else was that go gadget, and then all of a sudden that popped up and it kind of threw me off. But other than that, I mean, I did. So, okay, initially at the end, first thought Two-Face, because the way you initially saw, I thought Hush when we first saw the first preview, because of just all the taping and things being wrapped, and I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And then, of course, when you hear like the laugh and mention of clowns, I was like, okay, Joker, but what is this Joker going to look like? Right. Because he did look very like acid to the face. So yeah, that's
like real acid to the face, not like acid. Like, it burned the fuck out of my face. Like it didn't just change white. Like, I am scarred for real. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm very interested to see what he then begins to look like.
But yeah, I mean, the characters are great. I mean, Falcone was probably one of my favorites. Like, John Turturro we always kind of see him as somewhat goofy, but he transforms into this gangster real quick. He's real smooth, and that's how a gangster's supposed to be. Like, he's the top dog. He don't got to be seen. He don't got to be on the public very much. He makes them, hey, you know what to do. Boom, boom, boom. And then the whole, like, you know, the big, like, oh, he's my father. And you're like, oh yeah, this shit finna get real. Like, what you gonna do? Are you gonna pop your dad on? I mean, because Selena's about that life. She was ready to do whatever, whenever. Just tell me where, point the finger.
Which is weird, because she was willing to kill her father, but when Batman was bashing that guy's face in, she was like, what?
The only thing I thought the same thing. The only thing I could think of is that he had established this like personality of like, I don't cross the line. Right. And then she was like, oh, you're going there. Right. But I mean, hell, even that scene where, you know, he's completely sacrificing himself for the entire city. He's jumping on electrical wires and cutting it, and like, you don't know if he's gonna survive. Of course, we're like, he's gonna survive as Batman, but like, you're like, yo, he might die. They're gonna bring him back to life. I don't know what's gonna happen. And that fucking suit is metal as shit. Like, and it just looks so good. Like, that's like, I mean, I can't wait to see all the cosplays this year, because that's the most like tangible type of Batman suit that you can get, and, you know, be creative and add different things to it. And I love emo. That's what I'm calling this Batman, emo Batman, and I love it so much. I mean, me too. Because I mean, like, if you're going through this loss still, he's finally an adult and kind of like, yo, like, shit is different. and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. That's how you would be. He's disturbed. He can't deal completely, and so he goes and beats ass every night.
But I mean, I think what made it so special was by the end of the movie, like I always feel as though if you're gonna do a Bruce Wayne this dark, it's always good to introduce a Dick Grayson at some point to kind of be his moral compass, right?
Yeah.
Because Alfred's not that. So something to kind of just tame him more, because he can't be that brutal with a kid, right? So I'm like, the fact that they didn't do it this early, but they still found a way to tame him. By the end of that movie, he realized he can't do that. He can't be that anymore. He can't be reckless. He can't just, Alfred, I don't give a fuck if I die. It's like, whoa, what? Like, what's the whole point of this? If you're just like, die. It's like, then don't do it, you know? So they kind of did showcase that he's understanding he needs to be something more, which by the way, Matt Reeves, you almost got Stephen Amell upset because you almost were heading down that arrow line of like, I need to be something else, someone else. It's like, okay, all right, relax. But no, so I do like how they kind of tried to mellow him. So he's more understanding.
Because Andy Serkis's his Alfred gave me like, if anybody out there has been watching Bel Air, he gave me Jeffrey vibes. Like he's the house man.
Bro, I've been saying that, Trayvon. Yeah. Didn't I say that before I even? I was like, bro, are they making him Alfred?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, who is this guy?
That was the first thing I thought. Like, Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Right.
But no, I think like, and I know I jumped out the window a little bit in my review saying like, Riddler rivals Heath and Tom, but I mean, to have that much of an impact and that much of like citywide panic with no one seeing you do anything, that's a genius level like mayhem. You know what I mean? And then just him, when you start seeing him come unhinged, and that mask is, I know it's a winter combat mask. That's a scary fucking mask. Like, if I'm at war and somebody pops up with that mask, I died right then before he even shot me. My spirit left my body. Like, that shit is crazy looking. And then to add the glasses, definitely gives you like American Psycho school shooter vibes. You just like
100%.
Oh, like what is going on? So, I mean, I know a lot of this cast when it first was released. I was like, I don't know. Like, besides Zoe Kravitz, and that's just me being biased, me wanting to see her as Catwoman, I was like, man, I don't know where these people fit. Like, I can't see it. And then you just like, you don't even know that that's Colin Farrell at all. He completely became a whole different person, which elevates his skills just that much more. That like, if you didn't tell somebody, they'd be like, man, who was that guy? Like, that's Colin Farrell. Like, I told my wife, I was like, yeah, that's Colin Farrell. She's like, no, it's not. And I was like, I promise you.
It's Colin
like,
Farrell.
He completely became a different person. But I mean, yeah, I saw Kanan put out his list of all-time Batman films. And it's hard for me not to put this one first. I know at some point, maybe in a year or so, it goes to like, okay, which one's made an impact on me, and not just the film, how it played out and the quality. But it's hard not to put this at like the top of a lot of lists of films because it was that good. But yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's a lot more to love. If you hated half the movie, you completely love the other half of the movie. I mean, there's just so much to enjoy about it. Yeah, brutal, emo, pissed off. I mean, and then Jeffrey Wright. I mean, this dude, every role he gets, I mean, knocks out the park. And makes you kind of wonder, like, why some choices weren't made in previous movies. But now that and look, we've all talked about inclusivity and representation. This is why we got a movie this good, because now we realize we don't have to use a person who looks exactly like this person or exactly like this personality. You get more toys to play with, and you get, a fucking Daily Bugle Lego castle. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. It's great.
But Jeffrey Wright, that was the one thing I was hoping Matt Reeves would give Jeffrey Wright, was when Batman came to see him, the Sin City type of glasses, to where it's like reflector, like it's actual glasses. But you remember when you see Jim Gordon in the comics and it's like the reflection glasses, like that glare. But no, to your point, what Jeffrey Wright showed is you can be accurate. It's just you can't tell me Jim Gordon can't look like a comic representation, but just black.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just Asian. Like, what? You tell me no one can look like that?
Right.
That's ridiculous. So he showed you not only can he do it, but he can do it well.
And I think one of the best things that it did, you didn't know what year it was in at first. You're kind of like, is this like...
Thank you. There were certain things he was doing that I'm like, all right, that eye scanner thing is clearly something you couldn't have like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But then there were other things that I'm like, this seems pretty fucking old.
Not till you see like someone with a touchscreen phone, you're like, oh, okay. This is...
Or you see someone with an iPhone, unless you're watching a TikTok movie where someone had an iPhone and that shit. But no, I mean, look, it was just, to everything you're saying, Tom, it was just like, what the fuck am I watching? And how dare you be this goddamn good? How dare you have the nerve to hit every single mark a Batman movie could possibly have? And what I'll say is this, as I pass it to you, Joel, you know what I love the most about this Batman? They actually approach Batman in this movie the same way Casino Royale approached James Bond, to where it's a very new take, where he's not going to seem exactly like how you know him to be, but will grow him into that. And what I mean by that is, this Batman didn't use a shit ton of gadgets, right? But what they did show you is he has the capacity to use a shit ton of gadgets. So I think they were trying to kind of lay the groundwork, and the more we see the Batman, the more he'll be gadgeted out. Because I'm sure he'll learn from this whole event, I need to be better prepared, right? Like there's certain things that if it pops up, I need, which is why I like the squirrel suit. Because I'm like, Batman, albeit would I have liked to have seen him use his cape to kind of glide away? Sure. But realistically, that cape was not long enough to do that. So I'm like, you're not rappelling from that high up. What are you rappelling to? It's like playing Spider-Man, Jamie, and you're thwipping and there's no buildings. The fuck are the webs going? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that wouldn't have made sense. So the squirrel suit worked, albeit I wouldn't have wanted that. I would have wanted a longer cape that he could have utilized. But it just showed you how willing he is to kind of learn from these mistakes. I mean, everyone in the theater, Joel, gasped when he hit his head, when he kind of like ejected the parachute. It was just like, God damn. But
the fact that he had a parachute, I was like, I was prepared in that regard, you know?
So I'm like, the next time he uses that squirrel suit, guarantee he doesn't hit his head. He's just more prepared, right? So this movie was very much a year one for us, a year two for him, because it let you know he still has more learning to do. So what were your thoughts, Joel, for the Batman?
Whoa. Let's put it this way. I've watched a lot of Batman in my time. So I will say, as I said in the non-spoiler review, this felt the most like Batman ever. And it's probably because of it definitely delved into the whole world's greatest detective aspect of it. Like we were talking about Gordon, and it really did feel like he was like Watson to Batman's Sherlock Holmes, right? So it's like, and it's funny because it kind of looks like a Watson. But it's how it felt, and I love their dynamic. And look, we probably will see how they meet or something like that, because they're doing a GCPD show which will take place during year one. So like we will hopefully
they said that? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully get some of that, but it won't be through his eyes, it'll be through the police. But I look forward to that, especially now, considering how corrupt that fucking place was. But there's just so much to that character. That costume is beautiful. I really do like it. Like I dug it from the beginning, you know. I was just because we've heard a lot of rumors of what it might look like, what it will be, what it won't be, and I heard rumors that it was going to be like the Batman Noel, which like the Lee Bermejo style. And I was like, I don't hate that style. I really don't. I just didn't like the way the chest and the logo and the cape connected.
This bothers me the most, Joel, because it reminds me of Gaslight, and that's not my favorite look.
I don't mind the collar at all. It actually looked pretty cool in the movie. I don't necessarily need it long term. If they switch it up and it's just one thing again, I'm cool with that. Look, but if you're gonna do it, fucking cover him. I like it when he hides himself in the damn cape, right, which I continue to not get. But that's fine, you know. I'll get over it.
I mean, look, there's no better Batman look than completely covering, and it's just white eyes. Like, that is such a beautiful aesthetic that it seems like no one's interested in. And it's like, but it's such a cool look.
We talk about the white eyes. His eyes were fucking incredible in this damn movie because he did a lot of work with them eyes. Like, I'm like, wow, he looked eerie every time he looked at him. And he just had like a dead face the whole time. He was a masterwork using his eyes in this movie.
Yep.
And let me say, the score was phenomenal. It's probably it's probably the best complimentary music to a movie I think I've ever seen. It's insane. It's like it fits so well, and they used it so well with throughout the movie that it just you're always in it. And I've heard the 3 songs that they put out, and then I didn't want to hear the rest of the album until I saw the movie. So, but it's so fits, you know, it fits perfectly with the feel of the movie. That we were talking earlier about the Batmobile scene with that scene when they first introduced the Batmobile, the sound in that
motherfucker was roaring.
Oh my god! I'm like, look,
roaring.
I was already on board with the car. I know some people have issues that it looks like it's just a heavy muscle car. And I get it, but still, like,
it's practical.
It is practical. But like, this is practical. That's a very grounded character right now, especially right now. Now, I was actually really surprised about the contacts. You know, I love that, and the fact that it used to ID people. I'm like, oh my god, that's legit. Like right out the book. The video games.
Bro, and Selena sold that scene to where she's just like, bro, you're making it weird. Like, I can't just look back at him. And he's like, I need faces, Selena. Do it.
I love that scene so much. I'm like, that is so cool. And it's such a little thing. And you're right, because the whole movie felt like it was still 70s New York. You know what I mean? Like Taxi Driver felt like that.
Right.
Most of that, right? So but that's part of the aesthetic, and that was so felt right because when he drives through, it looks like Times Square and Gotham Square Garden. Fucking love that. That was fucking cool. As a Knicks fan, that's really cool. It's just the whole movie was just straight up Batman. Like it's hard to argue. Like the Riddler, I was actually not expecting what I got. I thought it'd be a little more serious and shit like that. But from the very beginning, when he's stalking that one dude, and he kind of trips over the motherfucker. I'm like, well, he's a clump. He's a klutz. Right. I was like, all right.
Well, it's
psychopath.
Yeah, he admits it too, though. At the end, he's like, I'm not physical. It's more of a mental guy. You know what I mean? Which I love that they referenced it, and you see it in the beginning, and he goes and he talks back to it later. And that's that is the Riddler, and he is all. Believe it or not, in the end, he is very much like the Riddler from the comic book. He doesn't look like it because he's not wearing the suit and shit like that. But at the end, he is legit the Riddler, and it's like amazing when you see him just go all out.
But I mean, I loved his look because I compared it to how I felt when I saw Jared Leto's Joker, to where David Ayer was just going for what would a Joker today look like when that movie came out. And kids today very much look exactly fucking like that, right? So you look at the Riddler and it's like, what would a psychopath today look like? And what's one of the biggest things we have?
He legit took it from the Zodiac killer. I mean, he looks exactly like the Zodiac killer.
But I'm saying today, like we know Anonymous is a thing, right? What do? They always wear the mask, right? They always wear the V for Vendetta mask. Yep. So I'm like, yes, it very much would look something very much like that. Like home.
But I like how he explained why he wore a mask, you know, and all that extra shit. He's like, I feel like whatever, because he's always been invisible and all this extra. I love that he had a backstory that he kind of felt for him, but he's fucking nuts. He starts screaming like, oh, he's got issues.
Wait, Joel, the best part was when they go to the restaurant and they pull out his wallet and they're like, well, which one are you? And he's just like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I love that, because I'm like, technically, none of them. And that's why I love when he said that to Batman, where he's like, I put on the mask to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You put on the mask to mask who you really want to be. And I love that, because I'm like, the Riddler, that is the Riddler. Once he becomes that persona, there is no like, he daylights, you know what I mean? Or he moonlights, rather. That is just him all day. So I love that aspect.
He says that to Batman in the movie. He says, he looks at him, he's like, that's who you are. That's, you know what I mean? That's who, and he's right. That, I mean, you see it throughout the whole movie. He doesn't give a shit about being Bruce Wayne. He is Batman. You know what I mean? Now, I hope eventually there's like, he has to eventually balance it too, you know, which I don't mind. And like, he will like put on a front at some point. But right now, right. I mean, he's going to give it like what the mayor was talking about too. He's going to be more, I guess, philanthropical. But bro, the grappling hook, the way they used the grappling hook in this movie, he had a holster, and I swear to God, it was just coming out of his wrist the whole movie.
It was. He was just.
It was.
It looked like Django. Remember when he shot Leo, and then he was just like that? That's what he kept. He kept doing like that, and it's like.
Like, oh
why?
Shit. Yeah, I thought he had a whole. All right, cool, whatever. You know, but it worked. The grapple gun was cool. It worked for me. That we finally got to see him actually use the logo as a weapon and cut the cable. And he cut through the blade. Yes, doesn't throw it, but it's a knife. It's a double-edged blade. Basically.
It's gonna be Alfred one day, just like, sir, I never thought about this, but that piece in your chest. What if we were ever like throw it like a boomerang? And Bruce is gonna be like, you fucking genius. Yes. Call Lucius now. Mass produce these things. Like, so I can put it in my belt.
That'd be fun if they introduce Lucius. So much, there's so much it can go. There's so many places it can go. And then of course the end with the Joker. And like you're like, who is this guy? Like I already had an idea who it was because the rumors and shit like that. But you know, when you couldn't see him at first, and I'm like, and his hair's spiky and scarred as fuck. And I'm like, yeah, once you get real close, you're like, oh, I think, and then he starts to laugh and he says, you know, he gives it away, he pretty much gives it away. Yeah. But you're like, oh my God, and they're both fucking laughing hysterical. I'm like, this is perfect. This is
freaking epic.
No,
yeah, I think the biggest cock tease for me was Bruce seeing himself in that kid. Because I'm like, if they didn't make that the mayor's kid, that kid would have been a lot more interesting. But it goes to show you how his heart is very open for when a certain somebody becomes an orphan soon.
I was just talking about that earlier. I'm like, bro, that's basically setting you up for him. Like, he's a sucker for like orphan kids. Right? You know what I mean?
100%. I even thought it was interesting when he was like, Alfred, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I'm using my old circus knowledge, or like my old stuff from the circus.
My time in the circus.
Like, right. I was just like, Alfred, you bitch. What's happening with the circus in this movie? Like, what's happening, Alfred? So I'm like, yeah, I love that though, because I even love when Alfred watches the video of him staring at the kid and starts to cry. Because he's just like, fuck, am I failing another Wayne? Am I failing him all over again? So I loved everything about that, man. And I love that Bruce finally has to respect, because me and Joel were talking about, if you guys ever watched the cartoon Beware of the Batman, how Bruce treats Alfred in that cartoon is how Bruce treated Alfred in this movie, to where they're more peers. There is no respect level. He feels very much like we're on the same level, you know? Don't try to be my father, you know, that whole thing. And when Alfred has a scare is when Bruce realizes how real this shit is. Like, fuck, I only have Alfred. Like, if Alfred goes, I have nothing that tethers me to Bruce Wayne. So I really appreciated that moment that they had where they held hands. And then I loved when you see the bat symbol pop up and Alfred looks over and just like, go ahead. Like, I'll be all right. Go ahead, whoop some ass. You know what that means. But no, that in AJ, I know you'll love this, but the music going back and forth where he's chasing the penguin is what really spoke to me. Because you first hear it where it's Batman's theme, where it's showing him in the Batmobile, it's Batman's theme. And then it's another theme when it shows Penguin. And then it just blends the two, and it's just so, it just pumps so fucking hard, bro. Like, I love that. And I also love that they were sticking to what New York is. There were traffic on that fucking highway. I don't know if you guys notice this, but in most movies, it's like a clear fucking highway. There's never traffic. It's always clear for cars to just go. This was Batman swerving in between shit. That's why I said I loved how practical his car is. Because picture if he had the fucking tumbler from the Dark Knight trilogy trying to weave in and out of that shit. It's like, Bruce, you just killed half of Gotham. Right. You just killed half of Gotham. So I very much appreciated that. And I know, Trayvon, one of the things you were looking forward to the most was Catwoman. And she fucking delivered. She delivered. God damn, did she not take, like, she legit was like, all right, what would Eartha Kitt and Michelle Pfeiffer, if they had a child, what would that be? And she just said, oh, fuck, me. And that's what she went out there and did. She was a beautiful of both of them, of both of those two actresses. And I loved everything about it. I even love how quickly she fell for Batman. Because it reminds me of whenever you see Black Cat and Spider-Man. It didn't take long for Black Cat to go, I fucking love this guy. Like, I don't like that Peter motherfucker, but this Batman, like this Spider, I love it. So I thought that was very, very, very good. But yeah, fuck that Batmobile scene. I can't stop thinking about that. Anyway, Jamie, I want to go to you. What were some of the things that really stood out to you in this movie?
Wow. Well, I wrote some things down. Just because I was trying to think and I didn't want to like lose all my thoughts, and then I ended up writing quite a bit. So my first note was that like just the beginning where Riddler is watching the former DA before he kills him. Just like the way that, like, we knew what he was gonna do, but the fact that it always felt like a horror movie, the way that they just like play the scary sound effect and then he just does it, I'm like, oh god, I'm like, what is this movie? Oh god, I don't know. Am I ready for this? That, I feel like that was a great way to just like I don't necessarily fear the Riddler, but I'm definitely like, okay, I'm not trying to mess with him. Like I take him quite seriously.
Right.
That was really cool. Oh my gosh. So one of the things that I know, this is all just random thoughts, by the way. It's not in order of like what happened in the movie, so we'll be jumping around quite a bit. But one of the things that I thought about was when Selina, I think, kissed Batman for the first time, and he's just kind of standing there. I'm like, oh, this Batman has never touched a woman before. My God. Like, he doesn't know what to do with them. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of, I don't know if they'll go for like the whole playboy aspect, because he doesn't, I don't know where he is with women and what his interests are. But it'll be interesting to see him be a little bit more comfortable in situations like that. And maybe if Selena comes back around, he'll be like, hey, girl, I learned some things like you want to see. But the other thing I was thinking about Riddler, and when he was talking about Bruce Wayne and how it kind of seemed like he knew his identity. I almost kind of feel like he does know, and he just kind of was like throwing Batman off. So he's like, oh, okay, he doesn't know, but really he does. Because like even if he didn't know while he was starting that speech, the way that Batman was like trying not to look at him and like avoiding eye contact, if I was the Riddler, I'm like, oh, why is he acting so strange? I'm just talking about Bruce Wayne. Oh, maybe he is Bruce Wayne, but I can't let him know that I know. So I'm just gonna say something to throw him off. So I'm really hoping that he does know, and like maybe he does something with that information in a future movie. But I thought it was interesting the way that one played out. I don't know what you guys think about that,
I
but
was thinking the same thing. That's exactly what I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, I was going on the idea of because when he said to him, "Oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were," I took it as, "Oh, this is a perfect chance for Batman to think, oh no, you're not as smart as you thought you are, because bitch, Bruce and Batman is standing right here, and you don't even know it." So I just took it more so as like a game of chess, where each time the Riddler mentally thought he was ahead of Batman, Batman was just like, okay, it took me a second, but all right, I'm here. Checkmate. You know what I'm saying? So I took it more so as like just a game of mental chess between the two.
I thought it was really like, it really did feel like he knew, like that the whole time, and he was fucking with him. But that to me, at the end, he didn't know,
Right.
because he really expected him to be. That's why he was so upset and kept screaming, because that's my friend, that's my ally. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, like he even had his picture right next to the "I know who you are," and I'm like, come on, like come on.
I think that was for us. I think that was to build the tension of,
that's
like,
to make you think that he knows.
Right, but to him, he was just like, shit, that just was happenstance.
Like in the trailer, it felt like that during the trailers. You're like, he knows.
Which would have been very interesting, because we've seen that before. We've seen a Riddler that knows Batman's identity with Jim Carrey. So it was like, well, you can't do that. So
we don't mention
where are
Jim
you going to
Carrey
go
in here.
That's a great.
Where are you going to go with this? So I was very glad that they went, he doesn't know. And it's like, okay, good. Because again, it's only his second year. And already, Trayvon talk about Catwoman knowing. You talk about Riddler knowing. In year 2, he's not a good Batman. Already.
You gotta make
Well, he's
some
like
mistakes
Barry
along the
Allen.
way.
He's like Barry Allen in the CW, basically.
Yes, that's exactly what he turned into. We were just like, hey, everybody in Gotham, Bruce Wayne here. And it's just like, wait, what?
Or Arrow in season 1. There you go.
Not as bad as Spider-Man No Way Home. Right?
Or yes, but that one was, but that's the point of he had enough.
He got exposed.
Right. He had enough years of a secret identity for you to pull that card. If you did that in the first movie, I'd be like, whoa. That's wild. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
What else? I really like the Penguin in this movie. I feel like it was a much different take than what I've seen with the Penguin, because I'm more familiar with like the Adam West version of the characters. Because I had like this one Adam West Batman movie that I watched repeatedly as a kid, and I was familiar with that Penguin. And then there's a Penguin in, I think it's the animated series that also, like, he doesn't seem like that much of a threat. Yeah, like the very squeaky, like waddly, like actually looks like a penguin kind of guy.
But did you actually catch his waddle? They put the waddle in the movie where he was tied up and he was just trying to get away.
He actually had it without being tied up. He has a limp.
Oh no, I meant like a legit, like how penguins just literally do like this little trot. When he was tied up, that's how he was walking away. Like, that's pretty freaking awesome. But no, Penguin isn't usually, but that's what makes Batman's rogue gallery so special. They're not meant to be like, to look like physical threats. They're always mental threats. But Penguin at some point will have his
except for Bane.
Well, except for Bane, right? Bane, Mr. Freeze.
There's obviously one.
Right. But Penguin, I do believe in his series will probably get his umbrella gun. I think that's very important. You have to give him his umbrella gun at some point. Doesn't have to be soon, but at some point he should get that. That's very important.
So with the I guess with the Penguin show and the Gotham show or PD show, it's like we're getting before and after. So
yes, exactly.
Before and after, because it seems like it pretty much be him gathering power, I guess.
Yeah.
In a second.
And Joel had a beautiful idea for this Penguin show to explore Gotham better. Make it a massive turf war where you bring in guys like Black Mass, Ventriloquist, like you bring in a whole bunch of the gangsters. You just make it a turf war.
That's what they hinted at in the Batman. They hinted at a turf war for year one. That's what they hinted at.
Right, for No Man's
Like,
Land.
Yeah, with No Man's Land. It's like very similar.
Yep.
I like it.
Well, go ahead,
that too.
That would be very cool to see. I don't think it'll be as expansive as that was. It'll be more condensed, but we will have a version of that, I believe.
There's going to be parts of the city that they weren't able to gain control over, probably.
Right, and I think Matt Reeves is going to take a portion of Ben's script that he originally had for his movie, where instead of everyone escaping Arkham and Batman having to put them back in their cages, it's a massive turf war that Batman has to go around and kind of snuff out and nullify. So you'll see him fight the Joker's gang. You'll see him fight the Penguin's gang and this gang and that gang. So I think he'll take an element of what Ben was trying to do with his Batman and utilize it for No Man's Land. So that would be visually very pleasing. But go ahead, Jamie.
But yeah, I really like the Penguin's character this time around. I felt I don't know, like I believed he could have been like one of the mob boss, or like the guy running the club was also doing like stuff behind the scenes. I really like that. I also like the scene where Gordon and Batman like kidnap the Penguin. They're like, Are you Lorata? And he's like, Lorata? You mean El Rata? Like, am I the only one who habla español? Like, I thought that was hilarious. That was really great. And the fact that like Batman and Gordon were sitting there like, oh, he's right.
Like Gordon even looked at him, like Gordon was like, is that even possible? And Batman was just like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, you actually could be telling the truth. And it's like, oh, fuck. Like, I love how Gordon in this movie, and obviously we'll see later on him get better with it. He's so naive. When Batman was telling him about that cop and how that cop was at the Iceberg Lounge, he just was like, really? Like a lot of this movie was Gordon going, really? Huh. Oh, okay. Like he just was so like, I didn't know any of that shit was happening. It's like, Gordon, what the fuck is happening in that police department? You're just blind to everything. So I thought that was really fucking hilarious. That so much of this movie, he was just like, I am not the cop that you are. Like, I thought maybe I was. I'm not. So I thought that was funny.
I also would like with that scene, some of the Riddler's riddles were like, I don't know how anybody would solve them in the short amount of time that they needed to. Like the URL thing, I'm like, are you serious?
That's what makes Batman the greatest detective.
It does, but it also shows you why people hate playing those goddamn games. That's exactly what this movie showcased. Because I tell you right now, if not for the trailers and somewhat context clues, we'd still be, 96% done with that game? And the remainder of it being just the Riddler part that we couldn't figure out. Those riddles weren't easy, man. The Justice one was the easiest one I've ever seen from any riddle, anywhere. It was like, well, blind justice, like I understood that. Everything else was just like, oh, no, I didn't think that. Like if I was Batman, that guy would have been dead a long time ago. Like that would have blew me up in the first 10 seconds. Like, shit, I don't know this one. Yeah. So I did appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, that was wild. What else here? Oh, okay. So I thought, okay, I have two different things. So I thought that Falcone's relationship with Batman was also really cool. I think that is mirroring the Telltale game, if I'm not mistaken, to where the Waynes had a relationship with the Falcones, and like Bruce didn't know about it.
Long Halloween.
That's Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Long Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't the Telltale game do that as well, though?
Well, the Telltale game, what was Telltale about this movie was the Waynes and the Arkhams going way back. So those two were linked to each other, but no, in the Telltale, Bruce had a relationship with Riddler, Was it? Yeah, it was Riddler. He had a
No,
relationship.
I'm talking about I think it was like the first
Penguin.
season of it. Falcone
Penguin.
was in it.
It was Penguin. I'm sorry. The first game.
Skinny Penguin.
Because I remember him talking about
Oh yes.
the story. Yeah.
Yes. In the first game, it was, but it wasn't this. In the game, his father was way more blindly involved in what was going on. Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't as good as we thought he was. They definitely hinted that like that, but yeah, he was definitely more dirty in that game.
You're right, but we're saying that's a comic thing before that's a Telltale thing. The Wayne's having a relationship with
A Long Halloween it was similar, yes.
Right.
Yeah, but I thought that relationship was really cool. I thought the actor whose name I don't know, but I thought he did a really good job with it. He just was like a really cool character. I'm like, you know what, you're bad, but you're all right with me. You're all right with me. I just vibes with him. Like, this is a cool dude. Like, you know, he's playing pool with his friends. I'm like, I want to be in on that. Like, Bruce, go ahead, pick a pool stick, you know, just talk, be one of the guys.
Ignore all the illegal activity.
Ignore all of that.
Fun. Shoot some pool.
Just have some fun. Just have some fun. My next big note on here, which I was thinking about, like, towards the end of the movie, was the reporter that Falcone killed. His name was like something Edwards, right? And that was the Riddler's last name was Edwards. So I thought that the reporter was his father. And so that's how he became an orphan and got into the orphanage. And so he knew that like Thomas Wayne was the like catalyst for all like the bad things that happened in his life. And that's why he was particularly mad at Bruce Wayne, but I could be totally off.
No, that's not his actual name. That's not Riddler's actual name.
No, Edward is his first name.
Right.
And his name in this movie, at least even in the comics, it's Nashton, but he changes it to Enigma, like legally.
To be an enigma, right? Yeah.
So it says like Enigma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so no, and look, I was wrong. I thought they were gonna go the route of Telltale, where they were brothers. He was the brother that Thomas Wayne didn't, the child or the affair that Thomas Wayne didn't want to keep. That's where I thought they were going. And when they didn't go that route, I'm like, I didn't need it to be that personal. That was fine. I was fine with where they went. But I was way off from where I thought they were going. That's for sure.
Yeah. I thought the reporter and the Riddler were connected, but I was wrong. What else? I also wrote that the movie was beautiful, but we all talked about that. Oh, one thing I did see yesterday was there was, I can't remember the site, but this reporter just wrote this like shock article with like a headline that's like the Batman sucks or something, basically along that lines. He was talking, and one of the things he was talking about was the fact that like Bruce Wayne is such a flat character. He never smiles, and like he's never never cracks a smile once in the movie. I'm like, was he supposed to smile at the funeral or after? Or like, when was he going to smile at this? Like, I understand, like maybe I don't know, he could have giggled at something, but for the most part, there was not a whole lot to be smiling about in this movie.
It's the same thing they said about Man of Steel. Like, oh my God, why is this Superman not happy enough? I don't know anybody that would watch their Earth being destroyed and go, you know what? I should smile a few more times than I have been. Like, there's good things out there, right? Like, Earth's gonna be destroyed. I'm gonna lose Lois, the love of my life, but let me find this time to smile. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand. That's also not Batman. That was our biggest issue in Josh Whedon's Justice League. Him smiling, that smile was just like, what is it?
That was the most awkward thing.
Like, did you just make Batman smile like that? Like,
he didn't make him smile. He made him like giddy. I'm like, oh God, that's not right.
Yeah, he'll at least do like a little smirk, but not like
smirk.
The full.
Yes,
yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah,
and also AJ, Batman will never be that happy to see Superman under any circumstances.
No.
Like he saw Superman, he was like,
"Oh, this guy again!"
Like, what the hell? Don't ever do that again. But yeah, a lot of people that didn't like it, Jamie, I'm hearing a lot of the same things. And like I said, that's why it's important to know these characters before you review the movies. Because if you don't, you'll go in here thinking all superhero movies are supposed to look and feel the same. They're not. Tony Stark smiles. Iron Man smiles. Batman is not a smiling type. It's nothing but
Iron Man can't
corruption.
smile. He's a robot. But yeah.
You get what I'm saying. It's a city filled with death and corruption. There's not many things Bruce Wayne can find to smile about and be giddy. So I'm like, that's
he had Selena, then got rid of her. But yeah.
He didn't get rid of her. She left.
No,
I mean, he didn't ask her to stay.
That's not getting rid of somebody. If
I'm
say,
joking,
Mom, I'm moving
relax.
out.
She's like, give me a reason to
I'm
stay. And he's like, no.
She's going to Bloodhaven.
No, if you say, Mom, I'm moving out, and your mom doesn't say, well, no, I want you to stay. That doesn't mean you're being kicked out. That just means I respect you wanting to leave. I have no necessary interest in you staying either, but I'm not going to tell you that. Yeah, all right, you want to go?
All right.
Because in the back of his mind, he's like, she's a criminal. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna always have to look over my shoulder with this one.
Takes a couple of years before he lets her all the way in. You know?
I feel like we'll probably get more of that smiling in the next iteration or show or whatever it's gonna be, where he's playing more.
When he balances,
he's being more of Bruce Wayne, yeah, and not so much like the dark brooding type.
Well, that would be more of a fake smile, and then else.
It will never.
Yeah,
it
like
will be
the
hiding
mask.
the pain. Right, it'll be hiding the pain.
My favorite when he got it was in the tower when he woke up in the morning and the sun. He was like, I can't. What the fuck? He put the sunglasses on.
That was hilarious.
Don't do daylight.
Oh, like Alfred, how is this not bothering you? And Alfred's like, we're not all weird like you, Bruce. We don't know.
Like weird. Yeah.
Right. What else you got, Jamie?
Let's see. I thought the scene with the Batman and Gordon inside the GCPD where like they're all surrounding him in that little cell was funny as well. Where like Gordon's really like, I don't know, trying to fake it like he's really upset with him, and he's just like, hey, we gotta get you out of here, bro. I'm just trying to look mad, but I'm not mad. I thought that was really funny, and I wasn't expecting that at all. So it really like kind of took me aback, and I really enjoyed that. What else? Oh, okay. So one thing that I wrote down that I wish we saw more of was I wish we got to know more of the people of Gotham. Like that kid at the beginning, like the kid that he plays Tim Drake in Titans. I'm like, I wish we could have got to know a little bit more about him. Like I thought he was gonna play some kind of role, be at some riot, be somewhere else besides the beginning of the movie. I think he was, but I don't know. I wish we got to know more of the citizens, especially since we have 3 hours of our closest 3 hours of screen time to do so. But that can be expanded upon the shows and stuff. What else? Beginning monologue was cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Batman's armor in the movie, I thought at one point I'm like, is he actually Superman? Like he took a shotgun to the chest and it was fine. I feel like most people wearing a Kevlar vest would still not be okay. But some, I don't know. I guess that's one of those things you have to suspend your disbelief because it is a comic book movie. But
wait, hold on.
Time out. Yeah, you're forgetting this. You're remembering the scene wrong. That did knock him out.
That knocked it.
Listen, it knocked him out, but that was a shotgun. How did nothing pierce? How was he like okay?
The armor is obviously really strong.
Right. That's what Arkham Knight was. The armor he had in Arkham Knight was like that. Yeah. But he did show you that shit ain't pillow.
Oh yeah, I was expecting at the very least to be knocked on his ass.
He couldn't even get up. He had to use something. He had to use adrenaline. Or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
you're right.
Actually, I thought it was like Venom.
Yeah, I thought it was like, Venom too.
I don't think it's Venom. Yeah, but yeah.
No, it was definitely adrenaline. It was 100% adrenaline.
Yeah.
I would, if I ever got to talk to either Matt Tomlin or Matt Reeves, I do want to know, was there a reason why it was green? Like, was that on purpose or was that just like whatever? Because I'm like, that was the first thing I thought, like, Bane? Like, we're gonna get some kind of nod to Bane here, and then I'm like, then when he jumps up, it's like, That was very clearly just adrenaline. Like, I don't know why
Yeah.
it had to be green, but it was clearly. But yeah, so when he got hit with that shotgun, he was fucking out. He was like, oh my God. Like, they were about to kill him, and that's when I think Catwoman came in.
Mhm.
Started to kick some ass before she started to get her ass beat.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Although
so
she came in super late. Like, he could have just shot and that would have been the end. Or he could have got scared and shot and that would have been the end. I'm like, dang, Catwoman.
But that lets you know how powerful the persona of Batman is. He was taking that in like, shit, I'm about to shoot Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just enough time for for Catwoman to swoop in and save the day.
Yep. Let's see. And then I'll switch my list around a little bit. So I guess still going with like the ending part. So I tweeted out like that the end of this movie very nearly like maybe shed a tear. I think it's just because like really powerful moments in movies, like they just get me. And where Batman is like guiding all these people out of the water and like out onto like the top of this stadium like structure, I'm like, oh my God, that's freaking beautiful. That was awesome. If they could do that every movie, then I'd be happy fan. Just really cool to see. And then so I guess my two questions. So one of them we've been talking about the whole time, which is like, who was that other person in the cell? Don't ask me why. For some reason, I thought it was the Riddler, and that the guy that we have been seeing the whole movie for some reason was a fake Riddler. But that obviously was not the case. I don't know. I was just like, he threw a riddle out there, and I was like, wait, what?
Look,
You riddle?
I will say with the two IDs, right? It could have been one of those like, wait, what is this kind of thing? No judgment whatsoever. I could see how you could like see that. But I mean, they played it off to where it could, like I said, it could have been 4 different people.
Yeah.
And you get to mention a clown, you hear the laugh, and then it makes it
Yeah.
very clear who it is. So I'm with you. Like I said, I thought it was Hush. You know, I thought it was Hush without the bandages, looking horrible. Excuse me. And then obviously they mention a clown and the laugh, and it's like, it's very clear.
Yeah, Riddler looked like really, or not Riddler, Joker looked, supposedly, if it is a Joker, he looked like pretty spooky. Like, I couldn't even really see him that well, but I could still tell like there was something very, very wrong with his face.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the one thing they've never done.
Yeah.
They've went overly gangster twice. They went somewhat of an anarchist. They went the comical route with Cesar Romero. They've never gone spooky Joker. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, we might get spooky Joker. What is spooky Joker? What is spooky Joker like? So very interesting.
Asylum.
Right. Very interested in seeing that. But what was your other question, Jamie?
My last question was like, did we ever see Maroney in this movie at all?
No.
He could have
He
been
was
the
just
rat
mentioned.
because he just like he was underground the whole time. I'm like, where is Maroney? They keep talking about him, but where is he?
I think that's what we might see in GCPD or
the Penguin.
Year one.
or Penguin.
Yeah.
Or in Penguin. Because that's a very big name. And
Yeah.
it wasn't used lightly. It was used heavily. So we'll see him somewhere. Look,
I really don't think we're gonna get the GCPD show. I think this is gonna be mixed in with the Penguin, unless we got more confirmation of the show itself.
No, to me, I really hope they don't do that, because then you're just doing Gotham all over again. Those worlds do need to be separate, and you're separating it by this is year 1, and this is after the events of the Batman. I'd much rather it be that than you just slabbing it all together. Then it just becomes Gotham again. I don't want that. I want that to be that, and this to be this.
Okay.
Was you confused about something?
No.
Oh,
Keep
I'm like, if you're doing year 1, the first season isn't just all of year 1. Year 1 could be expanded into a few seasons before you get to today. And by that time, they probably won't need to continue to do the show. I think the shows are just a way to bridge you.
Well, is it confirmed that Penguin is after this movie, or is it confirmed that it's before? Or do we know what the timeline is for the Penguin?
We don't.
No.
The assumption is that it's after.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know for sure GCPD is before, so
Right. And and like I said, I think the reason these shows are even happening is because it's supposed to be the bridge till you get to the next movie. So you're not just waiting 3 years for another movie. You know what I'm saying? You have the bridge to kind of get you there.
Give Matt Reeves a rest. He needs a break.
Well, he's not getting a break because he's writing these shows, if I'm not mistaken. At least the GCPD one. But Trayvon, your girl might be getting her own show. Matt Reeves was talking about that recently, giving Catwoman her own show.
I mean, she's going to Bloodhaven, so I mean, it could be interesting to see.
Which, by the way, I need writers to just stop, give it a rest. It just happens way too often. Stop mentioning Bloodhaven, and there's no Dick Grayson there. Like, enough, just fucking enough.
Bloodhaven was a city before Dick Grayson was around, right?
And I tell you this, people only know Bloodhaven because of Dick Grayson.
It doesn't matter. The lore of Bloodhaven
like,
is still around before Dick Grayson is
sure. Was it
anywhere?
No. Arrow did it 90 times. Now this is doing it.
CW Arrow is god awful. So
wait,
let's not do that.
Oh, he was talking shit about CW. Yeah, no one heard you. Did you have any other question, Jamie?
No, I think that was it. I just overall enjoyed it. I recommend it for people out there who both really enjoy Batman and know a lot about it, and people who are just starting to get into it. I think it was a really fun film overall, and yeah, it's a good show. Good show.
And if you know the animated movies, because if you don't read the comics, but you know the animated movies, you have a good eye to what could be the future of these movies. So, because they explore a lot.
Or you don't.
If you watch it, you just have a concept of what they could do going forward.
There's a lot that you can do with the sequel just from this movie alone. There's 100%. A lot.
100%. But AJ, to pass it to you to end this out, what were your thoughts?
I agree with everything you guys said. There's nothing for me to expand on. Really. I agree with just the world building itself was great. Sound, cinematography, everything about this, the little tease of Barry was great. I just can't wait to get the Joker within the sequel, or if he's going to be a tease for the next whatever. I just can't wait to see what we get next. Basically, even though this whole movie as itself was like a self-contained story, it also helped bring forth like prequels and sequels ideas and stuff like that, which I really did enjoy. So yeah, right. Everything about this movie I just loved.
I love that.
Green light and fast track now.
Oh, trust me, Warner Brothers is figuring out not only how they could do more Batman movies. They're like, bitch, you want to do Robin movies, you want to do Batgirl movies, Batwoman movies. Who the fuck do you want, Matt Reeves? It's the same opening that James Gunn has right now with DC. Just like, what do you want? You want a Judo Master show? Fuck it. Get them in here. It started. Whatever you want. You go ahead. And look, I said this. Remember, Joel, we were saying this during Much Ado About Nothing. I said, for a guy to say, fuck a major continuity, I'm only sticking to a Batman universe. Your Batman movie better be the best fucking thing I've ever seen in my life to justify not being part of the larger universe. And by goddamn did he do it. Like, at no point watching this movie was I like, damn, I would love to see him interact with Superman. That was never a thought. My only thoughts were, how can we fast track a Robin? Where's Joker? Give me Court of the Owls. Like, it was only Batman centric. It was not bigger than Batman. It was just Batman's universe. So fucking bravo, Matt Reeves. And I think our theater, Joel, exploded the loudest when he came through the glass. Like when you saw the explosions and then he swooped in. By the way, Matt Reeves, that was fucked up. You made that cape look way bigger than it actually is when he swooped down. That cape looked large. But that was definitely the money shot for me. 1,000%. Him coming out of that glass and just in true Batman fashion. But God damn, did I love it. And one last thing I want to ask before we get out of here. Did he ever use the little coils?
The what?
The coil.
No.
Well, the stuff on his
I
arm.
think it was used more as a shield than anything else. But
it was there, but we never see him actually use it.
No, that's fine. Because again, we all believe that we'll get a new suit by the next movie. So to me, none of this makes any difference. But I was just curious, did he ever use it for anything? But I agree with you, AJ. It did seem like it was more so of a shield than anything else. So that's interesting because they looked like they were removable, but he never removed them for anything. So okay,
It kind of looked like Mando's like little missile thingies that he shoots.
I believe they were grapple lines, but you never see them loaded up. They were already loaded when we saw it.
Not at all. But I did definitely appreciate, like I said, taking the piece out. It essentially just being one long ass knife. At some point, he will realize that you can maybe throw that and it comes back to you, or throw it into someone's shoulder or something. So, like I said, Matt Reeves is gonna have as much fun. I think his next movie, like I said, I like comparing it to James Bond because it felt very first movie, right? And then you see Skyfall and you're like, this is fucking James Bond. The cars, the gadgets, it's just James Bond. I think the next Batman movie will 100% feel just like that. But bravo, Matt Reeves. Look, Trayvon walked in this movie believing Batman and Catwoman would make it out of it. That's a blessing. You've already done a good job with that, Matt Reeves.
Did you really?
You did a really, even though Trayvon,
two characters, those two ain't gonna die.
even though look, I turned into you for a second because I told Joel I had PTSD from the Ninja Turtles movie. When Alfred was in that explosion, I was just like, no fucking way you kill Alfred. There's just no way. And then when you finally see him in the hospital room, I was just like, oh, don't fucking do that. Like, I wanted to punch that lady in her face. Whoever that lady is, that's
why?
Because she was like, Master Bruce, I'm so sorry. And it's like, oh, damn, like Alfred died. It's like, no, he didn't die. It's like, all right, we'll say that. God damn, you lead with that.
Like, well, she told him that. She didn't tell you that.
No, but she needs to tell me that, Jamie. I paid money, okay? Fuck you. You tell me.
I need when Batman's calling, it needs to like make some kind of alert, like, hey, answer the shit like now. Like,
yo,
waiting,
by the way, what kind
like,
of butler is that he just was like, a phone ringing? Who answers those things? Like, you motherfucker, go answer the phone. Like, just answer it. But I am with you. They do a better way.
Okay, that was the thing that also confused me too. But I think that the phone was ringing after the bomb went off.
Yeah, it was after the bomb went off.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she was telling him it happened like an hour ago.
Yeah.
He was late. Yeah.
Right. Bruce was late.
Why he
which
even
is great film work.
Open it? Why do you like? I would never even definitely wouldn't open that up. I'm like, yeah, no. This don't even look like something you would open.
What's funny is when he did that, I thought he's committing a federal offense. He's opening someone else's mail.
To be fair, if Alfred doesn't open it, Bruce would never touch a piece of mail.
Right. No, it would never.
So it's like, if I don't open it, the shit will just pile up, and we can't have that. I am curious though. The next Batman movie we get, I want to know more about her. That's never been in any iteration of Batman ever in any form. Another person working in the house with Alfred. We've never seen that.
Yeah.
60s when had Harriet. When they in the 60s, 70s, whatever, one of those two. Alfred died, and then they brought in Aunt Harriet, and then they introduced both of them in the TV show. It was weird, but that's how that.
Yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So I'm like, again, I don't need her backstory, but I would just like to know a little bit more about, like, is she the actual maid and Alfred's focus is just Bruce and she cleans the house and shit? Because that's what it looks like. Like,
well,
it looks like,
he's not literally in charge. He's not there to. He's the head of everything, basically. Alfred, especially for a guy like Bruce who does nothing except be Batman.
Right.
Like he has other people working for, like this guy. In the Dark Knight series, he had other people working under him, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Same shit.
No, I just because this Alfred seems like when Bruce wants tea, Alfred goes, hey, woo, make me some tea. And then that's when he goes to takes to Bruce. I made this shit myself. I had her do it. But no, shouts out to Matt Reeves. We love this movie. We thought this movie was awesome. We hope you guys enjoyed our spoiler review. Shouts out to Dom, who has his actual review up on our website. Make sure you guys go check that out. We did have a non-spoiler review, but if you're watching this, clearly you have no need to watch a non-spoiler review. So we appreciate you watching this video. And look, we hope you enjoyed the Batman as much as we did. Okay? If you did or did not, put it in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what things maybe rubbed you the wrong way, what you were looking forward to, that you didn't get, whatever the case may be. I will say, as somebody that always looks for the extremes, I was fulfilled. I was very much fulfilled. I did not leave going, well, you didn't give me Robin, so no, points off. Fuck all that. I loved every second of it. So I cannot wait for this 45-day release to be done so it can come on HBO Max, so I can watch it religiously. So I can
It's coming out HBO Max?
I think it's gonna have the 45-day window and then just release on HBO Max.
Oh my god!
Mid-April, it should be
Right.
there.
Right. Which is gonna be
But
huge.
until then, I'm gonna watch it like 7 more times in theaters. So
I'm happy. I love that for you.
Yeah, that's fair. And AJ,
I don't know how you have the time.
He's a psycho. Psychos
right.
usually find the time.
Job. What about your job?
not wrong.
What about his job? Knowing AJ, he tries to find a way to
I do the night
while
shift.
watching it. You see AJ scanning shit in the theater, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I brought my work to the theater. Shut up.
I mean, I wish I worked at the theaters again.
But no, shouts out to AJ, Trayvon, Jamie, Joel, and Dom for joining me for this spoiler review. Again, we appreciate you guys, and stay tuned. All the podcasts that didn't happen this week will be back next week. I just wanted to give everybody the week to enjoy the Batman. So Figure It Out will be next week. GVN Talk will be next week. And you'll, of course, get more Much to Do About Nothing next week. But we appreciate you guys. Until next time, peace.